All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is Dr. Steve Ogidan. He is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Successory Nigeria Limited. We are still focusing on MSMEs today. Welcome to you, Dr. Ogidan. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Nancy.
Today. I'm still focusing on MSMEs. I think on Tuesday, I had a conversation with the Executive Secretary of NASME, which is a small small business association, and we did talk about even the palliatives of Mr. President and all of that. But I would really like to get your view as regarding President Tinubu's incentives to businesses in Nigeria, if it's indeed enough, and what else. Okay, let me get your view, then we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much. The most important goal of development is poverty alleviation. And employment creation and the growth of MSME is a major pillar to alleviate poverty. When you look at the structure of businesses in Nigeria, you discover that a substantial number of people who are doing businesses and in the private sector, they are in the micro, small, and medium enterprises sector. So the federal government has announced that, one, we are going to give support to manufacturing sector, 75 billion to 75 enterprises. The nano businesses will get grant, the small businesses will get grant. But a major missing link is the subnational government. These enterprises are assisting in the state, they are assisting in the local government. What are the state governments doing to support the enterprises? What are the local governments doing to support the enterprises? The subnational government must do a lot to be able to support so that we can get the impact of what the federal government is doing. Federal government is far from the people, and the state government is closer to the people. The local government is closer to the people. We must be able to encourage this local government to key into what the federal government is doing. Take the mathematics. 75 billion naira, 75 enterprises, on the average, 2 per state. Then local government, about 10 enterprises will get support of the federal government.
That's 2 per state. What do you mind there?
2 big industries
per
state. Get per state. We have 37 states.
No, but FCT. Okay, doctor, hold on. I understand what you're trying to say. Yes. To say, let the 75 billion naira go around the country.
Yes.
But with your analysis right now, do you really have 2 big enterprises or 2 big industries in every state of the country, where you know that Lagos has the most concentration of even MSMEs in Nigeria? There are some states that don't even have any big industry.
There is no state in Nigeria today that does not have any big industry. These industries are dying because there's no fund for them. There's no single state in this country
that does not have a big industry.
That does not have a big industry. Give me the state that does
not
have
a single big industry.
There's Zamfara. Zamfara has the largest rice milling industry. Zamfara produces
that can get $1 billion naira.
That can get $1 billion naira. That can get $1 billion naira to push it.
I know for Kebbi.
Kebbi is there. Zamfara is there. There are so many activities that are going in the agro sector that can really be pushed with the kind of support the federal government is giving them. What I'm looking at is the small enterprises. The nanos and small enterprises in the state can really get the support of their local government to be able to produce and feed into what the bigger enterprises are doing. There should be a handshake between the small enterprises and the big enterprises, and that is when they can overcome the challenges and the problems they are facing. We can't ignore the role of the local government. We can't ignore the role of the state government, and the state government must be able to help their people instead of leaving them in the hands of the federal government to do it.
Doctor, I'm still struggling with this your 2 billion for...
It's 1 billion naira per enterprise.
Per enterprise. So, but you're saying, let's just share it for, you know, that at least every state in Nigeria should be empowered.
Every enterprise should be given the opportunity to contest to get the support, because it is a federation account. Don't forget it. And again, it is the entire population of Nigeria that should be supported. I will not support that, okay, let's cut off some states and then focus on some states. No, for industries, we need to get it right. For the small enterprises, there is no state in this country that don't have small enterprises. Even some of them, there is no village. You even say somebody selling goro, that the enterprise is no more than 5,000 to 10,000 naira.
Yes, that's a nano business.
That's nano business. These people should be supported, and they must be able. You see, when you support enterprises at the lower level, you give them hope. When you give them hope, you give them peace. Then all these challenges of insecurity will go down when we are able to do this and encourage the people to be able to do better. It is because the state government believe that, oh, it is Lagos, it is Kaduna, it is Kano that have the enterprises. That is why the governors are not performing.
So from your own analysis now, you think that in every state we can get an enterprise that can get that 1 billion naira?
Honestly, there's no state in Nigeria that you don't have at least one industry that can get a support of 1 billion naira to be able to create job. You have
because
the right.
I know that in some states you have like small businesses.
Yes.
And there are many states in Nigeria that have not even attracted investments. Some of those states have reeled out here, like Zamfara. When you even see those states that have attracted investment, even in terms of foreign capital, Doctor, you know where I'm
I
going.
know where you are coming from.
Yes, you know where I'm coming from. So that's why I'm struggling a bit.
Nancy, there's no state in Nigeria that I have not visited by the nature of my job. There's no state in Nigeria that we have not given agricultural extension services to the farmers. And we know in those states, there are enterprises that can even offtake from the farmers. There is no cash in this economy to offtake the production of the farmers. So this 1 billion naira will be able to support the industries to be able to offtake from the farmers so that they will be able to do better than they are doing. We have rice milling industry. We have mining industry. Zamfara is a mining depot.
Yes.
And so these mining industries, they need a lot of money. I know mining companies that are operating in those areas. This is why the Chinese are coming in. It is because we have been able to exclude our people, and they don't have the kind of war chest in terms of financial resources to be able to do better. That is why Chinese people are taking over. So don't believe that there's any state in this country today that does not have a company, a big company, that can take a loan, not a grant,
a loan
of 1 billion naira and be able to pay back.
That was actually what I was struggling with.
That is it. You will get them. And for the
Yes,
other states, states like Kano, like Kaduna, like Lagos, their state government should come in to support them. And when you look at it, you even discover that there are even more big industries in Ogun State than Lagos.
Exactly, than Lagos.
So because of the location, because of the geography. And in FCT, you have more big industries in Gwagwalada, you have them in Karu, in Nasarawa State than the FCT. So we can't exclude those people. You can't exclude them from the kind of support the federal government is going to give to these enterprises.
Now, let's take a look at even the states, because you're also hammering on the states. What kind of support should the states come up with now? Because at the end of the day, we're looking at, Mr. Tinubu has mentioned his own. President Tinubu has mentioned, it's like, we shouldn't allow state governments to just go to sleep and just say, okay, everybody just focusing on the center. President Tinubu has done his bit within the purview of what he's done. How can states now begin to support? Though I know that some states have come up with palliatives, perhaps for even civil servants, but we've not seen, I don't know, we've not seen like states like come out and say, okay, I'm using 10 billion to support within this period MSMEs in my state.
Thank you, Nancy. For me, I am very hesitant using the word palliative.
Exactly.
I want support. I want support for enterprises. There are 5 major issues, challenges facing enterprises. One of them is access to finance. The second one is conducive business environment. The third one is access to the market. The fourth one is energy. And the fifth one is appropriate technology. State government can create opportunities. You can create opportunity by creating modular alternative energy for the enterprises in the small areas. See what is happening in Computer Village in Lagos, with solar energy powering the computers in a computer village and supporting the small enterprises. State government can make the business environment very conducive. Instead of local government harassing them, telling them to bring money, come and pay this tax, come and pay this tax. Nancy, I will share an experience with you. I have seen enterprises that refuse to grow, not because they don't have capacity to grow. They are afraid of regulators. I have seen small enterprises that will go and close their bank account after 3 years. They will open another bank account. I said, why are you doing this? When they come for business development clinic, they say, we don't want FIRS to come and harass us. So because when your bank account grows to a particular level, FIRS will transfer your file from one small office to a bigger office. Then you get a letter, they are coming to do audit. After audit, they come for investigation. After investigation, they write you a letter, come and pay tax of 10 years. So all those challenges, we are killing business environment by not encouraging them. Forget about palliative. Enterprises are not looking for free money. The nano businesses are looking for grant. Give them the grant. Push them. We have taken some nasty policies in the past that have driven our enterprises into poverty. The Naira redenomination or the changing was one of the redesign one of them. We need to be able to give those nano industries grant to come out of it. The interaction with cash is very low now. So if we give those nano industries, they'll be able to perform, they'll be able to compete, and they'll be able to feed into the small and the medium enterprises. Then for the small, medium, and large scale, they need loan. Access to loan as single digit. The federal government is already giving its own. State government must be able to give their own also. The local government must be able to give their own. They are closer to the people, and in terms of monitoring, in terms of deployment of appropriate technology, and in terms of capacity building, they must be able to get people to train them. See what happened in Plateau State under the former governor Lalong. We train enterprises a minimum of 1,000 per local government under empowerment scheme. Those enterprises of 1,000 being trained, entrepreneurs being trained in the local government, half of them went to create their small businesses, and then they are able to employ at least one person to get the business done. That is how to make people happy at the grassroots, not a question of giving them palliative. They get palliative, they drink tea, they eat bread. Tomorrow they will come back to you. You must be able to give them. Then again, you must be able to open up the market for them. Some states are already doing it. Build modern market, create opportunity, give them a place where they can operate, give them a space, and allow them to breed. Then you will see how they will flourish.
Now, if we go back to nano businesses, President Tinubu said 50,000 are conditional grants.
Yes.
I don't know if you understand what that conditional grant is, because when I listened to President Tinubu, he mentioned, even in his speech, conditional grants of 50K, 50,000 naira to nano business. So I would like you to explain that. Then the second part is that 50,000 naira enough for a nano business? Yes, so let me leave it to
Thank you. Let's start from there. I'm not speaking for the government, but when we mention conditional grant, it means that we are not getting it as of right.
Yes.
There is a condition attached to it. Now, why the government is working out those conditions, it is proper. 200 million people. In Nigeria, we have over 50 million enterprises. And out of these 50 million enterprises, 39% of them are women. Go and look at the Faith Foundation report on a state of entrepreneurs in Nigeria. You discover that if you want to give anything that cannot go around everybody, make it conditional. And part of the conditional is that, one, you must be registered. If you are not registered as an enterprise, you don't exist. Then you must have a specific location. Not just a question, I carry my briefcase from Abuja, I go to Zamfara. Federal government is distributing 50,000, then I collect it. We have seen a whole lot of things in the past. I give you an example. Between 1999 and 2003, federal government introduced a scheme. It was a scheme to give young school leavers. I think at that time, it was like 3,500 naira per month. And the money was managed by the Federal Ministry of Works. My office in Ibadan was managing that fund for them. When I sat down to look at the front office where this money was being administered, I saw many people that were not candidates of poverty that were keen to collect this money. When I asked them, how did you get here? Oh, they said 10 slot was allocated to my father. And then he put our name. We were in the university, we just come to collect it. This is why there must be condition attached to the 50,000 naira grant. If condition is not attached, it will be abused. In poverty management, when a grant is meant for the poor, if it is not exclusive for them and made conditional, it will be abused. We have seen a whole lot of things in Nigeria. See what happened during the confirmation of ministers in the National Assembly. The former minister, coming back as minister now, of Labor, was brought. And people are saying, no, it's my constituent. We are entitled to it. We need to move out.
And he didn't give us sufficient answer, or perhaps I didn't see a sufficient answer.
We need to come out of this.
And I talked about it that day, and he said CBN, was to disburse. And I was like, how does CBN disburse money to individuals? The role of CBN is not that. Is it through NISAL MFB? And I was surprised that the senators did not catch that and to ask
to probe
further, or whether he told them something behind closed doors, I don't know. But that is really a very fundamental question which someone like me is really asking.
We need to interrogate this.
52 billion naira.
We need to move people out of the entitlement mentality. And we need to be able to ask the hard questions. If you get 50,000 naira conditional grant, what impact will it make on your business? Sometimes what they need is training and capacity building. And government could create opportunity and train them. The local government could assemble the enterprises together and teach them basic principles of packaging. Many people are producing, they don't even know where to sell their products. So these are things that the local and the state government can do to encourage MSME to grow, and we can create more employment using that strategy.
Now, do you think that with this, if those conditions are attached, what kind of conditions do you even want to be attached? I heard you clearly earlier when you said, okay, if you're not registered, you don't exist as an enterprise. Yes. But where my mind went to now is Brazil. Brazil has a program they call Bolsa Familia, which many countries have adopted. It's the condition attached to that program is I will give this woman so amount of money. How much was it? I think about $30 in a dollar equivalent or so at that time. I will give this woman so amount of money, but I'm giving you based on the fact that your children, you will send them to school.
Yes.
You do this, you do that, and I follow you up. And once I see that, you are able to. So I don't know if these conditions which you've just said should only be the conditions that should be attached. Are you also having in mind that majority of Nigerians, many Nigerians are also financially excluded? Should the government use this opportunity also to say, if you want to have 50,000 naira as a nano business, are you financially even included? Some businesses don't even have bank accounts.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
If you listen to the president's speech, some of the conditions are already highlighted. Number one, the president said we are driving financial inclusion. I don't see anybody who wants to access a government grant now without a bank account. You must not be given because it will filter away. You need to have a bank account. Your business must be registered. And then you must be able to have a tax identification number. Because these are things, it's like you want to apply.
Tax identification number for nano businesses?
Yes. Everybody must pay tax. Everybody must be captured within the tax bracket.
But for the Finance Act, I think even 2019 or from 2020, the Finance Act even promoted that if you don't have a turnover that is more than 25 million naira, yes, you're excluded.
Your business is excluded. You as an individual is not excluded. Because you will need some things from government.
Because those nano businesses are like business owners that don't have even businesses registered.
They must register their businesses because that is how to grow the business. That is why we kill our enterprises. If you are not registered, you have no identity. It's like an individual without a birth certificate. Then you must be able to register, you must be able to have a bank account, you must be able to assign 1 or 2 training that the local government will be organizing for your business. That is how to grow your business. You see, we say in business enterprise development, running a business is like riding a bicycle. You cannot remain in one place. It's either you move forward or you fall down. To move forward, you must continue to pedal. And that pedaling, registration is one of them, training is one of them, packaging is one of them, understanding the market, even where to shop is one of them. I can't be telling you, Nancy, that I'm selling tomato. And the first question you ask me is, oh, where do you sell your tomato? I said, we'll say to. Where do you get your tomato from? I said, I get it in Asokoro. You know that business is already dying. Because I'm already shopping in the wrong market. Yeah. Then I must be, it is in the training that you know that for you to get your tomato, you need to go to Nasarawa State to be able to buy from the producers and bring it to the area. Then you now say, okay, what is your shelf life? You want to produce bread. Are you registered? Do you have NAFDAC number? Do you have we need to look at quality control. We need to look at health and safety.
But let's talk about these regulations now that you're talking about, because you mentioned even earlier that businesses in Nigeria, especially the nano, micro ones, refuse to grow even into small because of regulation. So what can we do concerning regulation? You just talked about NAFDAC now.
Yes.
What are the processes and how much money will I take to even register my product to have a NAFDAC number, for example? Standard Organization of Nigeria, even the Corporate Affairs Commission, you know, so how can we make regulation more seamless and not very cumbersome, and will not also take the money I have as a business person, even as capital? You say, okay, bring this to register, bring this to register. I know that during Buhari days, Vice President Oshibaju had an MSMEs clinic where, and all of that. So how can Nigerian regulators also help businesses to grow?
Thank you, Nancy. A lot of activities are already going on in that space. I am aware that SMEDAN is doing a whole lot of things in encouraging even the small nano businesses to have a business name. You see, when you don't have a business name, when you don't have a bank account, you are losing opportunities. Before I continue that, let me give you an example. I was organizing a training in Niger State under the auspices of the UNDP for microfinance banks. But you know UNDP, because of the governance structure, they said, look, consultant, we will pay you your money for training. But the money for the food of the participant, we pay it directly to the restaurant, to the vendor. Interestingly, the vendor that I normally use in Niger State has no bank account, has no registration of business name. They lost that opportunity. It is a portfolio restaurant that has no business place, but has registration, has the FRS number, has everything that got the business, and now recruited the other people to come and do it for them. So registration is key. SMEDAN has already made it easy. Corporate Affairs Commission has already made it easy. The cost is not a major issue again, because I'm aware that CAC has already reduced the cost to the barest minimum.
Then,
apart from that, when you register your business and your business is growing, you will know whether you want to get to the next level or not. Then, a part of this condition we are talking about, I'm aware Smedan has done a whole lot of study on one local government, one product. You must be able to key into these studies that have been done. You cannot be producing a product that you don't have a competitive advantage in your state. If you are in agricultural sector, you must be able to produce something that you have opportunity to produce, that will speak to the economics of scale, and you'll be able to do better. Anybody who tells you today that he doesn't want to register his business because of cost is wasting his time. This is the job of the local government. Let them work to their local government. Let them hold their local government chairman accountable, and let them be able to say, okay, help us with registration. This is what we are bringing to the table. This is the opportunities that we have. Within that system, they will be able to do better. I'm aware National Directorate of Employment is doing a whole lot of things in that space. So all these agencies...
But people don't know.
Then they need, that is their business. They need to now get people to know what they are doing.
I don't hear that is your business.
They need to be able to do what they need to communicate the value they are delivering to their people. And I believe that is one of the things that the president is doing. You discover that the first 4 executive orders were to ease the business, to make sure that the nano businesses are not being stifled. Then they get opportunity, they get tax rebates to be able to do better. Then again, when you now say, and I was happy that you brought the chairman of the committee to your program yesterday, and they must have been able to, a whole lot of things have been done in that space. You know, enterprises that don't have bank account, the promoters steal from the business. If you don't have a bank account, you are stealing from your business, because you cannot separate your personal money from your business money. And that is a major issue. And a major challenge of small enterprises at nano level in Nigeria is discipline. We lack discipline, simple financial management. Those are the kind of things that we need to do to support the businesses. If local government is building their capacity, federal government is giving them money, state government is improving the operating environment, our enterprises will flourish.
You know, because I also struggle with this in the sense that you see other small businesses or micro businesses, let's say in China, for example, doing extremely well. You know, that businesses in Nigeria don't even have longevity, as it were. Businesses in Nigeria don't grow more than a certain capacity. You mentioned earlier that that even businesses refuse to grow because they'll say regulators, they're afraid of them. So they remain complacent. The other issue now I would like you to answer is the role of DFIs in all of this, in MSMEs development in Nigeria. We've also had an advent or an increase in DFIs. We have, I think the latest should have been Development Bank of Nigeria. That was, it's the latest DFI. You have Development Bank of Nigeria, you have Bank of Industry, there's a Bank of Agriculture too, you know. So many of them. What should be the role of these DFIs moving forward, seeing what Mr. President has actually also mentioned, that you will say, okay, I think he's focusing or he has an eye on assisting businesses in Nigeria?
Thank you. Apart from using government fund as grant, as loan for these enterprises, development finance institutions have a lot of role to play. One of them is building capacity. The other is delivering credit to these enterprises. And the third one is business development services, business development support. Commercial banks will not do it. What we can do in this space is for us to empower the microfinance banks that are dispersed all over the country to be able to do business development services. The International Labour Organization at a time contracted us to build the capacity of microfinance banks in some localities to be able to train their clients. You will see that microfinance banks that are doing very well are doing a lot of work in business development services. LAPO is one of them. They spend a lot of time and energy in building the capacity of their client. So DFIs can do a lot, apart from delivering loan.
But DFIs also give loans like DB and even to those microfinance
they give loans
banks.
to them. They give loans. They must be able to give wholesale loan. You cannot be my competitor and my regulator. The challenge is that most of the time, the regulators becomes a competitor in the space, and then they stifle out the small enterprises, the small banks out of the space.
Give me an example of what you mean now.
Example,
regulator and a competitor.
Example is that you see, you have a regulator who is supposed to encourage the enterprises to grow. Let me give you from the perspective of training. Center for Management Development is supposed to regulate training practitioners. And Center for Management Development is going from office to office looking for training, competing with the same people they are regulating.
Oh.
So it's just like the
Just
council,
like NMPC, a regulator and operator.
An operator. So you cannot do well. It's just like the Council for Legal Profession. Then assembly lawyers together to go and be looking for cases. You cannot be regulating the lawyers and be competing with them to get the cases. So we need to look at all those things. The same thing in financial sector. Central bank is doing a lot that it's not supposed to be doing. Policy, monetary policy, fiscal policy, manage them. You cannot be doing direct disbursement. You don't have the capacity to do it. Allow the banks to do what they are supposed to do. And that is why there's a lot of challenge, there's a lot of distortion in the market. When the regulators comes in to compete, there will be distortion in the market. And as you see, I was excited with what the president said. MDAs are not a fundraising organization.
Yeah.
They are supposed to improve the business environment. Allow the people that are supposed to raise funds for the government to raise funds for the government, the FRS of this world. You now see a situation where the regulators will be telling you, for example, NAFDAC, will be telling you how much have we generated. Are you supposed to generate money or to make us safe, to make sure that what we are consuming is safe and the system is working better for us? So we need to look at all those things. When we look at all those things, we'll now be able to see that organizations are focused. Then we need a multi-agency approach to manage all this system. For example, some people have the mandate for training. Some people have mandate for finance. Some people have mandate for creating conducive working environment. A nano business has a small signboard outside. Then they will come and harass them and tell them that you are committing a crime. Local government will come and harass, especially in this city, Abuja. They come and see your office. The fire brigade people will come and say you must pay for fire and safety. Waste management will come, you must pay for waste. Then the development control, they will come and harass you. So all those things we need to make sure that they don't exist. Make sure it works very well. And then the worst of all, when your business grows and you have a vehicle which you brand, you are already in trouble. They stop you on the road. The people will not even have uniform. They will just throw stones on the road and stop you and say, oh, we are consultant collecting money for local government. Let me give you an example. I think about 6 months ago, some people came to my office without uniform. They came from Nasarawa State. My office is in FCT. I said, what can we do for you? They said they are consultant collecting taxes for Nasarawa State government. I said, what do you mean? Are we in Nasarawa State? They said, no, that my staff are living in Nasarawa State, and the law says that your tax must be paid to where you are living. I just look at them, I line up the staff, I said, tell them who is living in Nasarawa State. Any day you see them in Nasarawa, arrest them. So they just disturb you. And when they said they want to come back again, I told our lawyer, please write to them, let's go to court. So it is, and you know, nano businesses don't have the capacity to challenge them and say, let's go to court.
Because they don't have also the money.
They don't have the money.
And they don't also have the information.
They don't have the information. So those are the kind of things killing enterprises. We need to be able to encourage them.
Let's talk about 3 things before we go. I'm looking at our time, and we're also waiting for the ECOWAS meeting or summit whenever it starts. So 3 things. You talked about MFIs, microfinance institutions. What more can we do to strengthen microfinance institutions? Or how can microfinance institutions also alleviate or reduce poverty in the country? Because that actually is why CBN licenses the microfinance banks. But these are institutions too that are operating on high interest rates, as it were. MPR now is at 18.75%. So whatever interest rate they are giving is also around or more than that interest rate. That's one. So the microfinance institutions are also struggling within the unfriendly work environment. That's one. That's for microfinance institutions. Then number 2, as a business development expert, what are the things or what are the steps that you can advise business owners to take now to reduce the impact of free subsidy removal? Many businesses are closing up now. So some businesses are also right-sizing and downsizing. Some are, putting different strategies together so that they can alleviate this fuel subsidy removal. Then the third question is, we have 45 ministers designate now. What relevant ministries do you think that we should be looking out for in terms of the personnel that will be handling it and like setting agendas for them?
Thank you, Nancy. Let's start with the microfinance bank. In Nigeria today, the cost of fund is very high. And the microfinance bank are operating in a very difficult environment. They need some support. They need some encouragement. The first thing is that instead for the central bank competing with this microfinance bank, they should give them wholesale lending, which the cost will be very low, and then they will be able to reach out to more people. For example, the conditional grant of 50,000 that is going to the nano enterprises. I think those funds should be passed through the microfinance bank. They should be able to let them build the capacity of the nano enterprises to be able to cultivate banking habit and be able to operate very well. Microfinance bank investors need a lot of encouragement. Technology-wise, the cost of technology is very high. And there's a time bomb that is waiting to explode in this country. It is all these applications lending money to people. They are recycling people in poverty and driving our people into poverty. There is no client protection principle. People are over-indebted now. And if we are not careful, we are going to see the suicide dimension of microfinance that happened in India, when people are killing themselves because they could not repay loan. They are recycling the people in poverty. The regulators must be able to look into it and make sure that our people are not over-indebted. We must be able to protect them.
Here's CBN now.
CBN, NDIC, NCC, FCCPC, all of them must be able to come together and protect our people. Not just a question of borrowing.
Because a lot of people are borrowing, these loan sharks.
Then, when it comes now to the building the capacity of the MSMEs, local government should take up their roles. Federal government cannot go from Abuja and go to Nembe and go to everywhere and be training enterprises. This is the job of the local government. Local government must be able to support them. The Corporate Affairs Commission is already doing a lot of work. SMEDA is already doing a lot of work. All we need to do, take it to the grassroots and then be able to build the capacity of the enterprises and let them grow. Now, coming to the last one, the ministers. I think the presidency has a good team. With the team that has been put in place, the major challenge in the past is that a minister is as good as the team that is surrounding him. The presidency is as good as the team of ministers that they have. They must be allowed to work, and they must be given a marching order. Not a question of you put people in power or in position and nobody is checking them and they take their ministry as captive. Who is a minister is just the administrative head of the ministry, and it's just to provide direction. But which direction? Even if you put an angel in a ministry and there's no direction, the angel will just be dancing in a circle.
The question also is that when you said that Mr. President has put a good team, what exactly do you mean? Because even amongst these 45 people that have been confirmed, you see, of course, the governors are there.
Yes.
And those were even governors that were a bit super governors, if you want to say that. You also take a look at the antecedents. Yes. But there are also other people that perhaps have not even been in administration or know of government. Are you seeing a lag in terms of when that person comes, the person is learning on the job? And a minister should not really learn on the job, because by the time you're learning on the job, time is going.
You see, Nancy, experience has shown that governors that have ruled their state for 4 years, for 8 years, when they come to the ministry, they are not going to learn on the job. They've managed the entire state. Now they are just managing the ministry. I'm not even
talking about those
Then
people.
When you now see the younger people, one thing that I'm excited about this cabinet is that you have some professionals who are very young. You have more women than in the past regime. And when you look at the credentials of these are people that have made their mark in different locations, in different places. We must be able to trust them and believe in their capacity to deliver. And we must be able to make specific demands from them. In the past, you put ministers in place, there's no specific demand. They go to the office to react to emergency. If something has come up, they do it. If nothing has come up, they thank God. So what I think for this set of ministers is for them to know that we are in a hurry to develop.
Okay.
Nigeria has lost opportunities. We must do
You've
a
not
catch-up.
answered my question on petroleum subsidy.
Now, for petroleum subsidies,
what can businesses do?
Businesses must be able to think rationally. Whether we like it or not, petroleum subsidy is gone forever. What you need to do is to be more creative and more efficient in the way you deploy your resources. For example, nano businesses, COVID has taught us not everybody needs to come to the office the same day. So you can't do a whole lot of work remotely. And you see, if you are doing nano business, you are doing small business, if your business is not online, you have lost it. Your clients are no longer on the streets, they are online. You must be able to use technology to drive your business. You must be able to do large-scale production. And you must be able to reach more people so that they can be able to support your enterprises. And you must be able to use appropriate pricing regime to be able to drive your business. We waste a lot of opportunities. We waste a lot of resources when it comes to the use of petroleum. And when we tell ourselves the truth, you discover, you have seen the whole lot of arguments around petroleum subsidy. We now discover that many of the petroleum we really don't need. Many of the resources we don't need. So we need to be able to manage
How do they
them.
navigate the transportation issues?
Navigating the transportation issue, organization must be able to pull their staff together. For example, I was discussing with some school owners. We said you need to have staff quarters. We have seen instances. This thing has been happening in Lagos even before the rumors of petroleum subsidy. When I was in Lagos, those who live on the mainland, some of them will stay Monday to Friday on the island and then do their work on weekend, they come home.
Back home.
The same thing, you must be able to see, must you continue to live in Nasarawa State and be working in Abuja? You need to look for appropriate accommodation. You need to be able to stay close to, live in Egypt, we say, live where you work. So we must be able to live where we work and then be able to look at this opportunity. If you look at the situation, in 1945, in 1960, if people get job 40 kilometers away from their home, what do? They relocate. But now with technology, because everybody is buying a car, you want to live in Nasarawa State, live in Mararaba, then you continue to drive your vehicle and come to town every day. You must be able to look at the cost, benefit analysis, and be able to live where you work. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you very much for your insights this morning. Let's do this again sometime soon. It shouldn't be as far as this any longer.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, I've been speaking with Dr. Steve Ogidan, who is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Successory Nigeria Limited. I hope you've been able to get some insights. We'll do this again tomorrow. I am Nancy Nigeria, be the best you can be. I'm going to change that you want to see. Don't forget that the ECOWAS Summit will still be aired live, at least the opening. So just keeping you up to speed with that. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye.